Om Vishnu Hare-Krishna-Taipei Shrimate Bhakti-Vedanta-Swami-Iti Namaste Saraswati-Deve Govardhan-Lila-1 Nirvisesha-Sunyavadi Prasthya-Pradesha-Kami Vanchakopa-Tarubhyascha Kripa-Sindhu-Vyascha Patitanam-Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasi Gaur Bhakta-Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome to everyone to this very glorious festival of Shri Govardhan Puja. So, now, this is quite a long story, but we'll try to summarize it. It actually begins in Goloka Vrindavan. In Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna was planning his advent within this world. And when Srimati Radharani heard this, she was quite doubtful. How could she leave Goloka? How could she leave the river Jamuna? How could she leave Shri Govardhan Hill? And kind of to allay her fears, Krishna assured her that these three personalities had already appeared within this world, in a place that we call Goma Vrindavan, or the Goloka Vrindavan, which is manifest within the material world. Now, it's said that Govardhan, he first descended as the son of Dronacharya. Said he had been there first in the Himalayas. And that's a little bit too loud. You'll have to. Okay. Can they get closer? It's a little distracting. Can they come closer?
Can be in the middle.
So, after he appeared, it is said that one great sage, his name was Rajalaxmi-dd, had ventured to Dronacharya and had seen the son of Dronacharya in the form of Shri Govardhan and desired to perform austerities upon him. Because he had very lush grasses and trees and caves, fruits and flowers, and all the things required for performing very elaborate types of sacrifice and puja. Now, at first, his father, Dronacharya, was not very willing, obviously, Viraj being his only son. At the same time, he feared the wrath of Rajalaxmi-dd because he knew he was a very powerful sage. So the agreement was made that Rajalaxmi-dd would take him, and Govardhan said that wherever you set me down, that place I will stay. Muni. There are different versions. One is that through his mystic power, he compressed Govardhan to a very small size, and then he carried him. Another is that he had the ability to carry even a huge mountain. Whatever version we accept. Either case, he was traveling with Govardhan. He was on his way to Kashi. But at one point, when he started to think, when Govardhan, Giriraj started to think of Krishna and the pastimes that Krishna would perform upon him, it is said that in great ecstasy, he then became very heavy, because at this particular place in Braj, he wanted to be set down, planted in that place so that Krishna could easily perform his pastimes there. Now, it's also said that Prahlasta Muni, at the same time, perhaps by the super soul or by whatever arrangement, was feeling the call of nature. So you know when you have the call of nature, you have to answer it. And so he was feeling like this. So he had to quickly come down, set Govardhan aside, attend to his duties. And then when he came back and tried to move him, Giriraj would not move, would not budge an inch. And he was so upset, he was furious, and he said that I will curse you. The curse was quite interesting. He said that now you will shrink by the size of one sesame seed per day. Sesame seed, mustard seed, whatever seed, very, very small amount. But over the period of many thousands, 100,000 years, he's gradually shrunk in size to the size he is today. Now, we know that many persons are fond of offering respect and even worship to the demigods. We also know that different demigods are in charge of different aspects of material nature. We have Vayu, the wind god, we have Agni, the fire god, and we have Indra, who's said to be the king of Swarga, as the presiding deity of the heavenly planets. Now, as often the case, sometimes demigods, they become infatuated with their own intelligence. Because naturally, if you have tremendous intelligence and tremendous power to control, then it can easily corrupt one. And so even though the demigods have a certain measure of power, they also are subordinate to a higher power. And that we hear Brahma admit, we hear Shiva admit, we hear others admit that ultimately there's a source of their being, and there's a source of all their power. And that's Krishna. So temporarily, Indra forgot this. He was deluded by his own ability. And he was getting quite proud. And kind of to help him along, to kind of reduce his pride, if not eliminate it, then Krishna engineered quite an interesting pastime. Not to just confront him and to be very strong with him or to harm him in any way, but to rather allow him to come to his own conclusion through a very, very kind of intricate pastime. Now at the time, Nanda Maharaj and the gopis, they would have an annual offering to Indradev. And because they were Vaishyas, they were agriculturalists, they very elaborate paraphernalia. But when Krishna saw this, and also wanting to allow Indra to come back to his senses, then he arranged for the paraphernalia that would be used for Indra instead to be used for the worship of Govardhan Hill. And he had quite an elaborate way to explain all of this. There was a bit of a philosophical exchange. He first talked about karma, that everything is dependent on our actions, and that there are actions that come as a result of those actions. And he said it's not really dependent upon Indra, and so on. Anyway, he used these different methods to convince Nanda Maharaj and others. But it was not just a philosophical kind of conviction that changed or turned Nanda Maharaj and the others from performing the Indra Puja to doing the Govardhan Puja. It was really their love for Krishna. Because that's the unique thing about Braj. There's different types of bhakti. Bhakti means devotion. But in Braj it's very unique. Because in one form of bhakti, like you see in Vaikuntha, there's a mood of awe and reverence. This is called Aishvarya. Very much aware of the majesty of the Supreme Person, having awe for the Supreme Person, but very aware that he is the Supreme Person. However, in Braj, you find that the mood of awe and reverence, or Aishvarya, is replaced by Madhurya, or sweetness. And the Lord's energy, Yoga Maya, arranges, if you will, for the devotees' awe and reverence to be covered, so that he or she is able to have this very free-flowing, intimate exchanges with Krishna. So therefore you have the cowherd boys, you have the Sakya-ras, you have Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda in the Vatsalya ras, or you have Srimati Radharani and the Gopis in the Madhurya ras. And they do not at any point think that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. Because that will get in the way of their devotion and their ability to have these very intimate, free-flowing exchanges with Krishna. We know the cowherd boys, they would daily go with Krishna to the pasturing grounds. They would take the calves. They would have their lunches out there together. But it was very much in a mood of friendship, where sometimes, one of the boys would take a sweet ball from Krishna's plate and pop it in his mouth. But then Krishna would sometimes take a sweet ball from that friend's plate and put it in his mouth. They would wrestle. They would play water sports, just as friends do. So the relationships are completely devoid of this mood of awe and reverence. And therefore Yogamaya covers that. You have Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda. Krishna is playing the role of a very loving, dutiful son. And they're reciprocating with him like this. You have the gopis who have a very intimate, kind of loving relationship as well. So that's the unique thing about Braj Bhakti. So Krishna convinced Nanda Maharaj and the others, take this paraphernalia that has been gathered for Indra, and now you offer to Govardhan. And he gave very specific details, exactly how that should be done. They should all prepare many different wonderful foodstuffs, offer to Govardhan. Not just Govardhan, offer to the Brahmins and offer to the cows. Often Go Puja is connected with Govardhan Puja as well. And then they should perform a circumambulation. Now, an interesting thing happened. That when the circumambulation was being performed, the offering had been done, that Krishna, in a separate kind of expansion, he appeared on top of Govardhan, in very huge form, to accept personally all the offerings. It is said that he manifested a huge form, and he was able to take everything. And at one point, when everything was finished, he still was not satisfied. And he was asking for more. There we have his name, Anayor, Anayor. Give me more. Where is more? And everyone was quite, at that point, quite frightened. Different demigods were there. No one could pacify Krishna in the form of on the top of Giriraj. And finally, Krishna, in his separate form, the original form, as a little cow boy, he then came and he offered tulsi leaves. Because only when tulsi leaves adorn an offering is actually accepted by Krishna. Tulsi is so dear and so essential to the worship of Krishna. So then, it was very clear that from that time, that Giriraj, Govardhan, and Krishna were non-different. So Krishna, he manifested in this form of Giriraj Govardhan. It's a self-manifested form. And we see even today that devotees will take shilas, the little stones and rocks from Govardhan, and they will worship as deities. Now, of course, everyone was happy except for one person. Indra. He was furious. And who is this upstart? Who is this Krishna? This little boy. How have they convinced? How has he convinced Nanda Maharaj and the Gopas and the Gopis? They're so foolish to believe this little impudent boy. He said, now I will show him, and I will show everyone. So he's very proud, because he had great power. And so he then called the Sambrataka clouds, the clouds that are called at the time of universal devastation. Those clouds that could inundate the whole world very quickly. And he then came along on his carrier Airavat. And these clouds, they poured torrents of rain, columns of ice, is said, hail, and so many other things. And accompanied by fierce winds, very quickly, the land of Braj was becoming inundated. And because all the inhabitants of Braj, they only saw shelter in Krishna, as they had done in so many other cases. They approached him, please save us. Now, at that time, Krishna, he thought, I certainly must protect my devotees. He says this in Gita, Orichanaya Sadhanam Vinishaya Chaduskritam. Twofold. The Duskriti, he comes to annihilate the mysteries, and sadhana to protect his devotees. But the real purpose of Krishna is to protect. And more than protect, they have very loving, intimate relationships, exchanges with them. So in this way, it said that Yogamaya arranged for Krishna, who at the time was at his house, and even though the rain was falling, that somehow or another, he was able to pass through the rain without even getting one drop of water on him. This thing's only Krishna could do. He went to Govardhan Hill and he lifted. And it said that he balanced on his left hand and finally on his finger, Govardhan Hill. He did it with his left, and it formed like a huge umbrella, in which he called all the inhabitants of Braj underneath it to get shelter from the torrential rains caused by Indradev. Now, this went on for 7 days and 7 nights. The interesting thing is, no one ate, no one drank, and no one slept. What were they doing? Well, as Krishna was holding Govardhan in a threefold bending form, he was also playing his flute. And all these devotees were able to just gaze at his beautiful form, something they always longed for. So there were very intimate, loving exchanges going on in this. And they had no desire. Because if one is so much enwrapped devotion for Krishna, the concepts of eating, sleeping, drinking, and so on, and these things, they go away. These are bodily necessities. But they're completely absorbed in Krishna. So now, even though Indra was trying to pound Govardhan from above with the rain, the hail, the thunderbolts, and everything else, he soon understood that he was having no effect. And then he withdrew some Prataka clouds, and he felt quite humbled. It finally dawned on him. He finally had that moment of realization that this little boy was not just some ordinary cowherd boy of Raj, but indeed he was the Supreme Lord Krishna, his most worshipful Lord. Now, when the rain subsided, then Krishna, he told all the inhabitants of Raj to come from beneath the mountain, and then he very carefully set it down. And after they had dispersed, then he arranged to meet Indra in a very secluded place, which is a very interesting point, because rather than to just confront him and even shame him in an assembly of many others, he chose to meet him in a very secluded place, which is now Govindakunda. He was sitting next to Govardhan. And then Indradev was able to approach him in seclusion. At the same time, he said to Surabi,